All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakradash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops, Great Millstone, aka Jim Mess. Shalom to the whole elect, beginning with the 144,000. Shalom. And this lesson will be titled, The Hour of Temptation Will Make or Break You, right? And I may title, whatever the Lord's will is, right? If y'all hear a lot of noise in the background, Salakia, met currently at work, aka the plantation, right? So once again, the hour of temptation will make or break you, right? Elder Amon Gabar did this lesson, quick little lesson, right? Maybe like about like 2-3 days ago, right? But in the lesson, I haven't seen the video, but he said a woman, if I'm mistaken, she had a dream, right? And her dream that her and her husband had took the RFID chip, right? If it wasn't her husband, she definitely did take the RFID chip, right? For the ones who don't know, the RFID chip is the mark of the beast, right? Once again, the mark of the beast is the RFID chip, right? Which is the radio frequency. I got it right here, radio frequency identification chip, right? That will soon be, implemented, and made mandatory throughout the whole earth, right? Everyone will be tested, right? But anyways, in his dream, she said that, she, took the chip or whatnot, right? That she felt disconnected, with the Heavenly Father. But in the dream, she was calling, the woman, she was calling on a false God, right? A false idol, as in Jesus Christ, right? A false power, but even then, right? That's how it's going to be, right? Unless you take that, take the MOTB, right? You're going to be cut off from the Lord, right? Ain't no salvation, ain't no mercy, ain't no forgiveness, ain't no none of that, right? Hey, you wash your hands with the Lord's, right? Because ultimately, that's you, trusting and having your faith in Esau's system rather than Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, right? And y'all may wonder, like, hey, y'all continuously is speaking about the mark of the beast, continually talking about the RFID chip. Well, that's the Lord, trying to help you out, showing you mercy, right? Because we warning you and warning you and warning you. So if you take it, hey, that's on you. You can't say that you haven't been warned, right? Now I'm gonna read this real quick. Isaiah 62:6. I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, keep not silence. Right, so we continuously warn you. So when the times get here, when that hour of temptation get here, right, and you was tried, that you don't take it. Right, and if you do, you can't say that you didn't know better, because while we've been preaching this, and the elders, apostles, and the elders and apostles of GMS been preaching this for years, right? Yeah. And let's go to the make or break definition real quick, right? So I went to Google and asked, what does make or break mean? Right? It say be the factor which decides whether something will succeed or fail, right? So if you don't take this RFID chip, if you don't give it to Esau's system and things that such, right? You continue to, have faith in Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, to serve Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, even if that's till death, guess what? You're going to succeed. Right, but if you give into Esau's system and take the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, guess what's going to happen? You have failed. Right, you have failed the test. You have failed the exam to succeed to the next grade or to the next level. Right. So let's go to Revelations, the 3rd chapter, in verse 10. Right, and it reads, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, meaning what? We kept the faith. Right, we kept the Lord's word. We didn't go off our own understanding. Right, we trusting in Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. Right, and it says, and I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. This is what we have to pray for. We have to pray that the Lord keep us from the hour of temptation, right? That we don't give into, right, that temptation on receiving the RFID chip, right, as in the MOTB, right? Because it's going to come upon all the world, and everyone's going to be tried. Everyone is going to be tested, right? As furthermore, it proved that, and it reads, say, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Right, so it's going to be made mandatory, right? Whether you are a child, a newborn, old man, middle age, right? It doesn't matter. You're going to be it's going to be made to you to mandatory to take this damn chip, right? If you take this chip, just know that you're going to be destroyed by the Heavenly Father, right? Ain't no salvation, ain't no none of that, right? Hey, you gotta feel the Lord's wrath, right? We go get to that, you know. I'm gonna start from the top because thou hast kept the word of my patience. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? So the hour of temptation is when the chip is made mandatory, right? And it's gonna be a lot of brothers and sisters, even a great millstone, right? Even of of everyone, right? Is going to be tempted to take the chip because why? It's going to be a hard time, right? You're going to have your children. Your children may be sick, and the only way they can be cured is what? Through medicine, in a sense, right? Might have your woman telling you, hey, we need food, we need this and that, right? People in your ear, or even within yourself, right? You may be starving or losing faith or whatever the case may be, and you go feel like the only way you go be able to survive is if you take the RFID chip, right? And I'm just speaking as just giving a little examples because I don't know what the Lord will have your lot to be, right? So, and a quick picture I can't find. Oh yeah. So this Matthew 16:25 says, "For whosoever would save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it." Right. So if you're willing to lose your life for your Bahashim Yahushua, whether that's dying in the FEMA camp, getting your head cut off by the guillotines, right? Whatever the case may be, whatever the Lord how your life, set out to be, right? Then hey, guess what? You gonna receive that kind of life, right? But if you shall but you shall save your life, for this temporarily kingdom, for this temporarily flesh, for this temporarily shithole that we're living in currently, right? Then you go lose it. Cause why? Cause you gave it to Esau's system. You gave it to the beast, right? You cared about this life rather than the life that we finna soon to have. That's way more glorious, way better. This world compares to nothing to the world to come, right? And the world to come is everlasting, right? Everlasting bodies, spiritual gifts, spiritual powers, right? Treasures, women, slaves, any and everything that we can ask for, right? So, I'll start back at verse 10 and then read Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? Once again, the hour of temptation is when it's made mandatory, and people are going to be tempted to take the mark of the beast, right? And you got to know and understand that, hey, you got to pray that you don't be, that you don't get into that, that lustful feeling or, into the flesh or what it desires, right? Because, hey, it's going to be a very, very hard time, right? But that's why we want you now that, hey, it's better to die, right, or to be killed than to get into Esau's system. I'm telling you that now, right? So it say, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth, right? And you got to think, it's going to be some, white supremacists and, people that be in the gun club and shit that go, buck up and refuse it. But when they start saying Esau killing people for not taking, guess what they're going to do? Sit there and take that shit, and it's going to be some people that don't take it as not other elect and things of that such, but that doesn't matter, right? They'll just what the Lord set out for them, to do. So this verse 11, it said, "Behold, I come quickly," meaning Yahushua saying, "Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown," right? And we got to do any and everything in our power, right? Within Yahweh Bashim Yahushua will, everything already preordained, predestined, right? That no one take our crown, right? And I had a quick precept that I thought about. So like y'all bear with me. Damn Satan. Damn. It had to be something that I said that made me think of a precept. But, anyway, we have to hold fast to this, this knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, right? That's what's gonna get us through right? I just remember this hour of temptation, right? So this is how Rat 2 and 1 say, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, right? So yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're preparing ourselves for this moment, right? The Lord gave us the study guide. He gave us the blueprint. And the only thing we got to do is study it. So when the tests get here, right, we can ace it just like that. And that's why we continuously warning y'all, because why we know what's coming, right? We know we got to go through the trials and tribulations. We know about all these things, right? 1 Corinthians 3 and 4, it said, for verily when, also like 1 Thessalonians 3 and 4, it said, for verily when we were with you, we told you before that we should suffer tribulation, even as it came to pass, and ye know, right? So we told y'all about these things. We know what we have to go through. We know we have to go through that straight gate, that STRAIT gate, that straight, meaning what? Difficulties, right? Dangerous. We know we got to go through that thing. We know 2 is the 7th chapter, right? That you got to go through the bad to inherit that which is good, right? We know all these things, so therefore we're willing to go through that. We're willing to die for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right? I just thought of another precept. Oh yeah, Matthews, right? How I said earlier, there's gonna be a lot of men and sisters, right? That's gonna get into this MOTB, right? Within that hour of temptation, and ultimately they're gonna be destroyed. But a lot of people ain't gonna be mentally tough or tough enough to get through this, right? This Matthew 13 and verse 21, it reads, yet hath he 20. He said, but he that received the seed into stony places, the same as he that heareth the word and the knowing with joy receiveth it. Right? So it's gonna be people that's in his truth, right, or unseen his truth, right? That is that's going to fall out during this hour of temptation, or they're going to give into this system, right? This verse 21 says, yet hath he not rooted himself, but doeth for a while. So, they weren't rooted all the way in. They either have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but they ain't really have as much faith as they said they did, or thought they did, or whatever the case may be, right? They say, for when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended, right? So when that tribulation and that persecution and all these things start happening because you don't want to give into Esau's system, right, into the beast, guess what's going to happen? Persecution, right? These tribulations, right? Because we're going to have to suffer, right? And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get offended, and they're going to give into the system, right? They're going to give into the lust of the flesh, because that's what the flesh is going to want. The flesh is going to want for you to give in, right, and take the chip and things of that sense, right? But the spirit is going to be telling you, no, don't do it, right? Verse 22, and I'll finish out, say, he also that receives seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word in the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh fruitful, right? And I ain't got that much time, so I'm going to go to Revelation, the 13th chapter, get straight to the point. In verse 15, it reads, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? So you want to be killed if you don't, partake into Esau's system, right? It's telling you that now, right? Verse 16 saying, he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, say he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? So therefore, if you don't have this chip, you're not going to be able to, what's the word I'm trying to use? Something within society, right? Be obligated in society, partake in society. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. You're not going to be able to go to the grocery store. You're not going to be able to buy or sell anything. You're not going to be able to do shit. That's why they either going to have your account locked, or either, if you don't have that chip, you ain't going to have no form of pay, right? Because that money that you have in your account is going to be locked, no access to, and that paper money ain't going to be worth a damn, right? That dollar bill ain't going to be shit, right? So, that's why we got to be in that spirit of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because when Nebuchadnezzar tried to get them to worship that golden image, what they do? They didn't bow down to it, right? They stood firm for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. They was thrown into the fiery pit, and Yahushua joined them in that pit, and he did, and none of them died, right? But the two soldiers that threw them in the pit, they died because that's how hot the furnace was, right? But we have to be in that same spirit, that same mindset as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Hey, we willing to die for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And even then, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to save us, from this trouble or from that death or whatever the case may be, you go receive that crown of life, right? That's what I'm getting at. So this Revelation 14 and verse 9, and it reads, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the heavenly Father, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. So you have to drink of that wrath, right, from Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Right, so you're going to be destroyed, right? Ain't gonna be no salvation, ain't gonna be none of that, right? You're going to be destroyed, right? It says, without mixture into his cup of his indignation, right? It says, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the presence of the Lamb, right? So if the nukes, right, don't get you, guess what's going to get you? Yahweh Bashin Yahweh Shah and the angels, right? Shooting laser beams and fire from the chariots, right? What the world call UFOs, right? And I'm going to finish out with Isaiah 33:6. Right, and it reads, and the wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy towns and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh is his treasure, right? So, just going back to verse Revelation 3:11, I say hold fast, right? And mention no one, take thy crown, roughly paraphrasing that, right? Hey, we got to hold fast to this knowledge, understanding, the wisdom, because that's what's going to keep us stable in these last times, right? Knowing what the RFID chip is, right, which is the mark of the beast. That's us knowing that, hey, okay, that's the mark of the beast, don't take it, right? While everybody else running around with the head cut off and giving it to the Esau system, right? We know better, right? And that's ultimately, us fearing Yahweh Bashin Yahweh. That's what's going to lead us to that salvation, right? A lot of people ain't going to know, right? But guess what? We going to know, right? We told y'all about everything. Right, we told y'all how the celebrities and the influencers and your rappers and all that stuff is going to influence and encourage and advertise the MOTB. Right, we told y'all how it's going to be made mandatory. We told y'all that we told y'all all these things. So hey, the warning is out. You can't say that you haven't heard it. Right. Once again, Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Right. That's what's going to keep us stable during the hour of temptation. Right? He's saying strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, is his treasure. Right? With that being said, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson, quick, straight to the point. Once again, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Until next time, Shalom.